Hello and welcome to my second vlog. This is essentially like a follow-up vlog to my first vlog that I published on launching my book, my very first book, Be Unacceptable into the World. I had a launch in Melbourne, and directly after the launch, I flew up the central coast of New South Wales to go and stay with my sister and her partner at their new property, which I hadn't been to before. So in this vlog, you're going to get to see their incredible property where they live, and also I'm going to be sharing a full review and breakdown of the launch and of publishing my book. So enjoy! This is the view that I've woken up to. Sorry, what? So I'm going to head out for a walk for at least half an hour, which I do every morning if I'm not doing if it's not a strength training morning. And then I'm going to make some breakfast, and then I'm going to sit down with you guys and share with you a little bit more about launching my book, and that will wrap up this vlog.
48 hours later.
Hi guys, this is my first vlog. I have been wanting to vlog for so long. I just wanted to tell you a tiny bit about it. I have been wanting to vlog for about 4 or 5 years now. And if I'm really honest, the thing that stopped me is feeling like, who the f do you think you are to have a vlog? And who the f do you think is going to listen to you or give a shit about anything that you're doing? I don't know if it's 3.5 or 4.5 years ago that I bought a camera that I wanted to use for vlogging. I got like a small DSLR that was good for vlogging and that recorded more than 30 minutes continuous so that I could use that for filming myself doing my podcast, because my main intention was to film my podcasts, upload them onto YouTube, which, spoiler, I did record them for a while. They never got uploaded to YouTube. I'm doing that now. And I wanted to use that camera for vlogging as well. I first got it around the time I first wrote a book, a 72-page ebook that I just released on my website. So it was like a really short book. I wrote this book and I recorded myself doing parts of the process and talking about the process so that I could create a vlog. But after I did a talk to video for that vlog, I then was just like, oh, this is stupid, this is bad, no one's gonna care. How self-important am I talking about my process writing a book? No one gives a f. Like, what are you doing? This is gonna be boring. No one's gonna want this. And that is my voice of acceptable, right? I'm doing this vlog about releasing my book, Be Unacceptable. And in it, I talk about the voice of acceptable. And that is my voice of acceptable. And the thing about the voice of acceptable is it doesn't scream, hey, I'm your conditioning. It screams, hey, this is just what's logical and realistic and makes sense. And that's why it's so seductive, because it sounds like really good reasoning. And so I never created that vlog. And then when I moved to Bali, I recorded footage on that camera as I went along. And then I never created a vlog out of it because I was like, oh, this doesn't matter. I don't have time. This is stupid. So anyways, here I am giving myself permission to start a vlog because I want to. I don't know if anyone's going to care. I don't know if anyone's going to watch my videos, but I want to. I want to share my experiences, and I do it to an extent on Instagram, and I always wish that I could share more. So I'm excited to be creating a vlog. If you're here listening and watching this, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. I sometimes watch vlogs, like very occasionally. I don't like many vlogs, but the ones that I do, I just love watching what people are up to. And I don't actually see a lot of vlogs like what I would want to watch. So I kind of feel like if you're like me, you might really enjoy this vlog. So here we are. What I want to share with you in this vlog is about my process launching my book. So I've just launched my book, Be Unacceptable, Dare to Live the Life You're Meant For. I have just launched it. I had a physical launch in Melbourne, which you've probably just seen some footage of. And I've also launched the ebook online. And I want to share with you a little bit about that process. I have created this book from start to finish in the past 3 months. Literally 3 months ago, I started writing. It might have been just under 3 months ago. I started writing. I went into a book bubble. I'm not going to give you really the whole background. I got podcast episodes on it. I might just put them in the description. But I went into a book bubble where I just really went into this concentrated time of, I've got to write this from start to finish. And at the same time I was writing this book, I was finishing off a silk collection, clothing collection for my new brand that I guess I've been working on kind of a little bit behind the scenes. So I was finishing this eco silk collection that I've been working on for months. There's so many dramas that have happened with all of the projects I've been working on in this time. I've also been working on the Dare Pleasure collection, which is a glass pleasure collection of essentially art, like glass pleasure ones that are art. They stand up and they're displayable art, as well as the best pleasure shapes for you to actually use, and completing that and trying to have my first batch of those created also for this book launch, and the silk stuff I wanted created so that I would have it for the book launch and to bring to the book launch. And then also, it's just over there actually, not right next to me, I also have, why don't I just grab them? Been working on a full range of 100% cotton to have go along with the book. This range of t-shirts that go along with the book that are all handmade in Bali, hand printed by a beautiful woman that I managed to connect with, that have uplifting messages that are just going to support you to wake up to who you are every single day as you wear them. And we also did like cute little messages on the sleeve. Like the sleeve of this one is keep it spicy. Be Unacceptable t-shirts with the code that's in the book on the back. And then also there's a really epic tote bag. I'm not actually going to go through them all. Created and pulled together all of these in that time as well. So I've had a lot going on. I wrote the book completely start to finish in 7 days, and then the rest of the time has been spent editing, getting the typesetting done, and then getting it ready for print and upload. So for those of you guys that don't know, basically if you want to write a book, usually you would have an editor, and there's different types of editing that you can have. You can have a structural editor that will go through the structure of your book and give you like kind of quite big guidance and editing. I didn't have time for that type of editing, but I also didn't want that editing because I knew I wanted to write my book and I just wanted editing that is going to essentially like clean it up. So then there's 2 other types of editing that you can get done: copy editing and line editing. And that's essentially for just the flow of your language, your sentences. Are they grammatically correct? Do they flow with rhythm? Is it stylistically cohesive? You know, the way that you're using italics and what type of quotation marks and, you know, the style, I guess, that you've gone with. All things that I didn't know at all before I started a book. I had an editor who did copy editing and line editing for me. Then I hired someone to do my typesetting. I didn't want to fuck around with it, which is essentially to lay it out in the format that it needs to be in to be printed, and there are specific programs that you use for that. So I hired someone to do that, and then she was going to upload it to all of the platforms for me for it to be published and distributed. I have self-published this book. What was recommended to me that I'm really glad I did was that I created my own publishing house for it. So when you publish a book, you need an ISBN for that book, and you need a different ISBN for every version of that book. So the paperback has one ISBN. If you then want to have it in ebook, it needs a different ISBN. If you want to have it in hardcover or audiobook, each of those things also need a different ISBN. And a lot of platforms offer you a free ISBN with them, like Amazon. If you publish through them, I think you can get a free ISBN. A lot of them do that, but what actually happens then is you've published through them and the ISBN is like linked to them. Okay guys, I'm not an expert in this, but I'm just telling you like the rough thing. So what you can do is create your own publishing house and buy your own ISBNs so that then you really have full ownership of your book and it's under your own publishing house. And I think this only kind of matters more if you want to try and get in bookstores or indie bookstores, which I don't really have an ambition to do that, but I think it doesn't look very good to them if your ISBN is through Amazon or Ingram Spark. Ingram Spark is the platform that you would publish your book through that automatically distributes it to like Booktopia, Book Depository, Barnes & Noble, and that all like libraries and bookstores can order your book through. So Ingram Spark is one main platform you probably want to upload it to. Mine is uploaded to that and then it automatically distributes to all those places. And Amazon. Ingram Spark does automatically distribute to Amazon, but you most likely don't want it to. And that's something that I learned through the literal moments of uploading it to the different platforms. I'm not going to go into it here because it's not like a how to publish a book video, but you definitely want to do a little bit of research around that. I created my own publishing house for it, which is free in Australia, and it's called Temple. I'm just wondering if this will get focused, maybe not. Temple of the Feminine Press. And then I just bought like a 10-pack of ISBNs, whoever that was through. Like my typesetter helped arrange all of this. She created the publishing house. And so I bought a 10-pack of ISBNs, which maybe was 100 Australian dollars. And so then this paperback has one of those ISBNs, my ebook has one, my hardcover has one, and when I create an audiobook for it, that will also have an ISBN. So that was essentially like the process of creating my book. I didn't really know any of those things before going into it. Something that I would do differently, since I didn't know any of the process, I wouldn't use a typesetter next time who it was her first time doing all of this, because that's what I did. It was something that came through a friend that's published a lot of books. It just came through a connection and it seemed really obvious, so I did it. But there was issues that came out of that. The way that she did the upload sort of messed something up with Amazon. Could have been a lot worse than it was. She wasn't finding a solution for it. She said there wasn't a solution for it. I went and did more of my own research and I found a way to override it. I just took on that I'm going to do all of that bit because I know that I will just be really careful and I'll get what I want. But it was very stressful. It was really stressful to do that, and next time, if I'm doing something that I'm new at and I don't know the process, and especially if I'm on a tight timeline, I just won't hire someone who's doing it for the first time. So that was a lesson learned, and I take full responsibility for that. So because of that, my physical books got ordered a little bit late, but they were printed so quickly and I had them a week ahead of my book launch, which was really awesome. That was like a really key thing. And then I just honestly, I just kind of fumbled everything together in the last couple of weeks. I live in Bali and I was having my book launch in Melbourne. So I left Bali, came to Melbourne. I was coming to Melbourne about a week and a half ahead of time. I ordered the physical copies of my book to have at my book launch the morning that I was leaving Bali to come to Melbourne, and then they actually arrived by the end of that week. So I did have them a week ahead of my book launch, which was just awesome. But once I got to Bali, my typesetter and I had finished getting the physical book file completed, but now we needed to get the ebook file done. And it was just a lot. It was a lot to hold. I didn't have a lot in me. I didn't plan out at all any launch in terms of online to promote my book. I literally, this was one step in front of the other of just like, okay, we need the physical copies. Okay, now we need the ebook. I got a whole bunch of flyers printed while I was in Bali because I knew there was 2 events that I would be going to in Melbourne before my book launch. And both of them were events where I could put out flyers to let people know about the book launch and also my book. And I had wanted to distribute flyers just around Melbourne in general while I was there. I didn't end up doing much of that. I did do a little bit. I was going on walks every morning, maybe 1 or 2 mornings. I put out flyers on cafe tables the whole way along my walk. One store that I went into where I bought some things from a local Melbourne designer, I ended up telling them about my book and they were like, yes, put out your flyers here in the store. So I did that. I went to these 2 events where I would have thought it would be hot for my audience of people to come to my launch. I want to break down exactly the way that it went for me, just so that you can know and you can just have an example. There's probably not many videos like this. I launched my book launch event actually 4 months prior. And I did a bit of a campaign of selling tickets for the launch. And this was before I actually started writing the book. Almost all of the tickets I sold were sold then. I had a couple of sales, I think, before I left Bali. The reason I actually did it as a paid ticketed event was because that I had a maximum of 50 people that could be in the space. And I thought I would easily fill that. And because the space was limited like that, I didn't want to make it free. And then anyone was like, oh yeah, I'll just register, but they've got no commitment to actually coming. And if I have 50 people register and then I close it and then only 10 people show up, because anyone who was just like, oh, maybe I'll go, registered, then that wasn't something that I wanted to happen. So I made my tickets $15 so that it was like, if you buy a ticket, you are actually committing to a degree that you want to come. Like, yeah, I think most likely I'm going to come because otherwise you're not going to buy the ticket, right? So I had the ticket as $15 for that reason. I think I had about 20 tickets left after that initial push. Then there was just a few like dribs and drabs over the next couple of months. And then I left to Melbourne. And when I left to Melbourne, I had 15 tickets left. I thought I would easily sell that number of tickets once I got to Melbourne. And also the last minute people who just didn't want to commit to anything would then buy. And I had a couple of people telling me they were going to come that hadn't bought a ticket. I didn't sell any tickets once I got to Melbourne until the day before the event. I think one person bought one, and the day of the event, one person bought one. But in that week and a half, that's when I was expecting people would buy the tickets. I was starting to promote it again. None. And the people at the events that I went to telling me they were going to come didn't buy a ticket. I got recognized actually on the street as soon as I arrived in Melbourne. That girl told me she would most likely come. It was dependent on whether the work gave her a shift that Saturday. She didn't come. The women in that clothing store that let me leave my flyers said they were going to come. They didn't come. No one came that said they were going to come from Melbourne, and no one signed up from the flyers that I put out either. Maybe some of those people will buy a book because I also had the code to buy a book on them, but no one came from any of those avenues. It was mostly people that had signed up initially when I put it out there, which is just really good feedback for me about what it takes to sell an event like this. Additional to that, I would have to check the numbers. I haven't exactly gone through my list, but I think only 50% of the people that did buy tickets came to the book launch. So I didn't end up selling 50 tickets. I think I ended up having 15 tickets left. So there must have been about 35 people registered. I had about 3 people in the couple of days before the event tell me that they could no longer make it. And so I think after that I had 15 tickets left. And then only about 50% of those people actually came to my launch. But they were people that were all in and there for me. And I think every person at the launch did buy a book. I think that's a really awesome thing when you're doing a book launch, that everyone is involved and in it enough that they buy a book. I also had the t-shirts and the tote bags. Quite a few people bought t-shirts. I haven't done my full inventory on them yet because I did do an inventory of what was left, and then all of that stuff got sent back to my parents' place with them, and I forgot to take a photo of it so I could actually check how many sold. So I'm not actually sure. I had my launch at a friend's house, and I'm so glad that I did. I also don't actually live in Melbourne. I did live in Melbourne for 3 or 4 years, and it just showed me that the people that really came in the end were my community and people that were connected to me. And if I want to have a bigger book launch, basically I just need to have a bigger audience and possibly do other sorts of marketing. I was not willing to take on trying to make this a big event because for me, it was just such a big thing to write and release a book that I just wanted an event that was a celebration of that. So I just put it up. I wanted it at my friend's house. I just wanted to share it on my socials. And honestly, I was just not going to do any major campaign for it or ads or anything like that. Maybe when I do another book, I'll reach a point where that feels like an exciting, expansive thing. But for this one, I wanted the event to be easy. You know, I was debating whether I have food at the event. I had all this merch. Like, guys, it wasn't just the book. I had the t-shirts, the tote bags, the silk collection, the glass pleasure collection, jewelry from an earlier collection. And I was going to be doing a dance performance. And I was like, you know what? I just don't want an extra thing. And we were going to have a photo booth. And with all of this stuff, I don't want people to have food and then not have somewhere to put it, and then their fingers have got stuff on it, and we've got all these things. The timing of the event was in the afternoon. We didn't need to have food, so I didn't do food. And it was a really beautiful event with my family and my friends and my clients and some people from the broader community. So the event, what I did that I would not do next time was that I invited my family to come and I booked a place for us all to stay together over the weekend. And I absolutely would not stay with my family over the weekend next time. I completely didn't consider that this might not be a good idea. It was not a good idea because this was a really vulnerable event for me. I'm really glad I had my family come. I wouldn't do it like this next time. My youngest is just super supportive. I love her. I would totally have her again at every event. She's like, yes. And her partner came and that was amazing. My dad just hasn't really seen or sought to see that side of me. And it felt really important to me that my parents come, and in particular my dad come, to integrate actually all areas of my life. I really wanted them to come. They're just never in that world of mine. I really wanted them to come. I really wanted to put everyone up in an Airbnb, and I booked for all of us to go down to the hot springs the next day to say thank you because they were all helping with the setup and stuff as well. And it was so challenging. It was so challenging. I didn't fully consider that this event would bring up a lot of stuff for me, so related to the book, but that would bring up a lot of stuff for me and bring up a lot of feeling unworthy. I'm creating an event about my creations. They don't matter. I don't matter. How I just felt so much shame that I'm pretending like I matter and like I have something of value to share. And I got really triggered about it. And I think I got way more triggered because my family was there. Honestly, that was perfect because that's exactly what you have to go through so that that doesn't stop you. Because if you're not feeling that trigger and you're not cracking open to that trigger, if that trigger's there, then that's how you unconsciously limit yourself. You know, you'll have a voice in your unconscious that'll make you get sick, that'll make all these things happen. You just shut down and you don't do it, or you retreat straight afterwards and you're like, oh my God, that was terrible. And so I was actually going through that trigger that was so liberating and so alchemizing for me from that event, and is what has absolutely opened me up to now be able to go even bigger, 100%. But I wouldn't do it again because that was not what was supportive for me to get through that event, that I'm putting myself literally in this environment where I'm unseen and unrecognized. And it was perfect for this launch. I just really want to emphasize that I wouldn't do anything different if I did this again, but I wouldn't do that at my next one. What would be most supportive for me after an event like this, and I remember realizing this after my last retreat that I ran in Bali and then forgetting about it obviously, but is that I want to have people that I've set up with to do basically a completion and a debrief the next day and go through, okay, how was that for me? What did I learn? Do a proper debrief to integrate and move through it, and not be like, okay, I'm going to the hot springs with my family and everyone's just talking about other stuff the whole time. And there's, and like my attention's on them and how they're going, and there's no like integration for me from the event. So next time I would absolutely prioritize that. And even with my family, I find it a really challenging thing to just do my own thing and just be focused on me. And that's what I needed before and after that event. So next time I would stay on my own. I would have my own Airbnb. I would stay on my own. My family can come. Absolutely. So happy for them to come. But I would give myself what I need to go through something like that. My own space before and after, to be in my own zone, be in the energy of what I'm wanting to bring forward at the event, be able to integrate, do all the little admin pieces that always need to get done either side, and just not have anyone else that I'm worrying about or trying to manage or wants anything from me, and not like book the next day so that I'm just not able to be with myself and the process and reflect. So that was a really big learning, a really big thing I would change. Quite a few things that I wrote down from the event, but essentially like one of the really big things that I noticed was how doing something that was quite triggering for my ego stirred up really like this yearning for validation, because to my ego doing that event was wrong and self-absorbed and self-important and all this stuff. There was this burning part of me that wanted validation from everyone around me, that it was okay that I did the event and that my things are really good and wanted and needed. And so I ended up getting quite triggered by one of my clients. Not her job to give me validation, but there was this part of me seeking that, and anywhere I felt like I wasn't getting it, I was fucking triggered. I think it was just a lot for me to hold what was coming up for me about actually releasing this book and all of my collections into the world, as well as I'm managing this event and I'm coordinating everyone to do what I want to like set it up. And that was really challenging and didn't work super well. And I would get more support on that next time. I ended up having a friend that really stepped in to support me. Bless her. Oh my God. It was a real like save the day kind of moment. There was a friend of mine who I have known for such a long time. We've worked together, we've collaborated. She is a performer. She takes the stage. She runs events. She gets all of that, and she is a real star. She works with a lot of creatives and entrepreneurs. And so basically I just had to pull her away like right before people were meant to be arriving, and I needed to get changed anyway. So I pulled her away and pulled her upstairs. And as soon as we got in the room, I just started crying. And I was like, like this person's not doing this. I asked this person to do this and they just stared at me and did nothing. We were trying to leave the house and no one was ready. And like we'd already discussed the time we were going to leave. And then I was like, and what I'm really feeling, that's just your triggers, right? That's just like, that was just my triggers. And then I just dropped straight into, what was really going on for me. And then I really started crying. And I was like, I just feel so unworthy, so bad for like putting on this event and proposing that I have something of value and worthwhile to share. I shouldn't be like doing this, they're getting attention. And that's what it was all really about. And that is the very thing that holds me back from going even bigger. My subconscious can't let me go even bigger when that is getting energy behind the scenes. It was the perfect thing to come up because it was literally the gatekeeper to the level of releasing a book into the world and having a book launch. Because if that kept having the power, I would have just stayed in Bali, released this book quietly on the internet and really not made such a big deal out of it. This was me fully stepping into the truth of this creation and sharing it unapologetically, then brought up the part of me that's like, that's not allowed. We can't do that. That's unacceptable, and that's what this is about, being unacceptable. That's what my triggers were all really about. That was the core wound. And what she said to me was completely true and completely perfect. She was just like, I think this is exactly the way this is meant to go. Like, this is perfect that you're feeling this because this is what the book's about. I would be worried if you were just feeling good because you're getting the medicine of what it is that you're actually sharing right now. It was so true because also before that, in the lead up to the book launch, I'd been feeling quite disconnected from the book. I wasn't feeling bad, but I was just feeling numb. And this just brought me back into my heart, which is what your wounds always have the possibility to do. It's actually really awesome when you get triggered, because if you actually let go of the story and go down to the original pain that it's poking, and you let yourself just feel it and open to that, then you expand through that trigger. And that's what enables you to go through it and no longer be shut down and conditioned by it. If you let yourself be shut down in that moment and you contract, withdraw, like if I had just been like, okay, pretend I haven't been crying, just act happy and like, yeah, just, get through the event and pretend it's all good, it would have been a shit event. And I actually would have gone into contraction afterwards rather than expansion. And I would have kept myself down below that level. And that's what used to always play out for me in my life. I would expand, I would get really triggered, and then I would just basically go into chronic fatigue and chronic unexplained health issues and just fully shut down for like 6 months until I could get my shit together again. That is why I wrote this book, is because I found the way through that. So then it was amazing. I was literally going through that process at the book launch, and I was so relieved actually once I felt it, and then I was in my heart again and feeling my heart. And I was like, okay, now I can go down because I'm in my heart, I'm in my wholeness, I'm feeling the wound, and now I'm like connected really with the book, and I'm letting it crack me open rather than close me down. And my friend was such an amazing support in that. And then she just took care of anything else that needed to happen for the event and just enabled me to break down, come into my heart and get myself ready to come out when I needed to at the event, which I did. And I was able to share deeply from my heart what I was going through and what this book is about and why it's needed. And honestly, I know it was so moving to everyone that was there. People shared that with me because I was really in that true essence, and they all felt it because they all know that experience too. And that's why they haven't written their books or started their businesses, or they have written their books. And one person told me, they've written 3 or 4 books and they've shelved all of them and they're writing the next one. This is why, and this is why this matters. It's a little bit about launching my book into the world. So I launched my ebook at the same time online. And then obviously everyone at my event could buy the physical copy. I did do a little bit of stock take. So with the books, I think I sold 22 books at the book launch event. And in the first 2 days, or in the first day, I think in the first day I maybe sold 40 of the ebooks. And then in the first couple of days, the first 2 days, maybe I sold about 40 or 50 ebooks. And actually all of that was enough for it to get traction on Amazon and for Amazon to start testing it in my categories. So within the first 24 hours, this book actually went number 1 in one of the categories I uploaded it into in Amazon Australia, and it was number 2 in the other 2 categories. You upload it into 3 categories, and it's been ranking in the categories on Amazon US and Amazon UK as well, which is really cool. So I'm basically in that process a bit now, and I can share more about that if you would like me to, but I think that's all I'm going to share for now. I think there's been plenty here, and I'm really excited to vlog, and I just want to get in my rhythm of how much you guys want to hear, how much I should share. I am an oversharer, which is why I have a podcast. But I hope this is interesting and insightful and inspiring for you in some way. And if you haven't got the book already, guys, I think it's really good. I'm so happy with it. I'm so happy with it. So I'll put the link in the description. All right, sending you so much love, and I'll see you in the next vlog. We are just about to head to the beach. Local beach, 1 kilometer down the road. I'm very sad to be saying goodbye to this incredible view. Oh my god, this beautiful studio and the spa that I've been staying in here in the beautiful central coast of New South Wales. Oh my god, look at it. There's some people coming in to stay in it. It's an Airbnb, I think later today, so it's all been cleaned up. And we are about to head off, hit the road, drive to Sydney, 5 hours, and then I'm getting my flight back to South Australia.